storm. He is Lord, Lord of all.
Good morning. Welcome back to On Point from the Summerdale Church of Christ. We have been studying through the books of Paul, and we come now to 1 Corinthians chapter 10 through 12, and I want to share some thoughts today from chapter 11. We're up in the mountains in Georgia, just enjoying a little bit of time. I'm sitting here watching a little squirrel play in front of me. You can probably hear him jumping around on the leaves. I've talked to him a little bit today. It's fun to have a little critter nearby, and I'm not going to feed him, so don't worry. The text in 1 Corinthians, Paul has focused on a lot of the issues the church is having, and when he gets to chapter 11, we see one of the unique problems they have is, of course, we're supposed to take the Lord's Supper on the first day of every week, and a little bit of that is addressed in chapter 11 here. And one of the problems that they had in the congregation was when they would take the communion, it seems that there were some brethren that were a little more affluent. Maybe they came early, maybe they it seems that they might have turned the communion time into maybe like a fellowship meal. And there needs to be a clear, distinct difference between the breaking of bread in Acts 2, which is the communion, and the breaking of bread, which references the meal that they would have had. And so when they're breaking this bread, they're eating the fellowship meal. And so he says that they for some reason have mixed up the two. It seems that when it came time for individuals who were poorer, maybe took them a little more time to get to the assembly, that it seems almost as if maybe all the communion had been eaten up. And Paul takes offense at this. And so he actually starts the chapter by saying, look, you need to imitate me as I imitate Christ. You know, notice that the words he's using, he says, are the words of Jesus. And he begins to tell them this is what Jesus said. And when Jesus instituted the Last Supper, he actually told them not only what to take, but how to take it. And that means both in the memorial feast of each individual emblem and prayed for separately, and then also that they had to have the right kind of judgment or the right attitude when they took this communion. And so Paul's fearful that they have turned it into something else. They have not actually practiced what we would say New Testament Christianity by having the communion solemn, special, holy, reserved in a very unique way for believers in Christ. And he is fearful, I think. He says, some of you have fallen asleep. And so I think he's a little fearful that there are individuals that are going to go to their eternal death by not actually taking the communion time seriously. Now, when I lived in another state, I won't mention which one, because I fear somebody might actually know the gentleman who I'm talking about, but there was a congregation where a man came forward sometimes once a month during the invitation, and he would say, my thoughts were not where it needed to be during communion. And people would be like, oh, again, here he comes. You know, well, you know why he's coming. Same thing. He wasn't paying attention during communion. And when you got to know this man, you found he was absolutely sincere. And he was fearful that by having his mind distracted during that very solemn memorial part of the service, that he was in danger of losing his soul. And so it shows his seriousness in taking communion. And I want to encourage you, as you take communion, that you focus on Jesus on the cross. You think about his death. You think about the fact that he shed blood, innocent blood, to save humanity. Think about those things and picture yourself. Paul says, judge yourself. Look within yourself. Are you worthy of the sacrifice that Jesus has offered? Well, the answer is obviously no. There's none righteous, no, not one. But my goal is to try to be more in line with God's will every time I take it and surrender more of myself and give myself over more to him each individual week when I'm reminded of what God has done for me. So I hope that blesses you. Keep studying the book of 1 Corinthians. Hope you enjoy your day today. We're certainly enjoying our time up here in the mountains. I hope you have a blessed one. Thanks for tuning in to On Point.
The storm, he